2023 was an absolutely insane year for video games. I think we saw some of the absolute highs and lows that the industry has to offer. I didn't get to play every game I wanted to because of school, but I managed to squeeze a few in. Now, I just want to say, if there's a game that's not on here and you're like, bro, what the heck? This is definitely a top 10. There's a good chance I didn't get to play it. But without further ado, these are the top 10 best games of 2023. Or better put, Tiglath's top 10. That actually sounds really cool. All right, let's get this going. Number 10. Lethal Dumpany. What else can I say about it? It's funny, it's scary, it's $10, it's amazing. Play it with friends. Oh, you monster! Oh, God! Hi-Fi Thrush. Honestly, such a cool game and probably the most unique one I played this year. It's just so vibrant and full of personality, and the art style is, it's so colorful, and I love it. The only reason it isn't higher up here on the list is because personally it's not my normal type of game I would play, but I certainly appreciate what was made here, and I could totally see this ending up higher on other people's lists. The combat takes a little bit to get used to, but once you start feeling the beat, you dish out some heat. You know what I'm saying? Okay, number 8.
This is pretty good.
Warhammer 40k Stanktide. A game that technically released last year, but wasn't even remotely close to being a complete product until this year. At launch, this game was missing, like, honestly, 3/4 of its content. There was no communication from the devs, and it went almost 6 months without any additions to the game. But, thankfully, Fat Shark has gotten it together, and they have been pumping so much content into this game the past 3 months. Now, gearing up with friends and taking on the Chaos Hordes has never been better. This is a massive dopamine hit every time you boot the game up. It looks amazing, the gameplay loop is addicting, and it's one of the most intense horde-type PvE games you can play right now. This game finally has a decent progression system, and I'm hoping they continue to add more maps and support this game because it just keeps getting better and better. Play it with friends though.
They fly now?
I don't want to get copyrighted by Nintendo. Alright, let's do this quick before Nintendo sues me for complimenting their game. Lacrimation of the Kingdom was amazing. It was perfected Breath of the Wild. It allowed for so much creativity. I couldn't even dream of making half the things I saw in this game. Plus, the addition of the Sky Islands and the depths, which gave the game a more creepy atmosphere, and just the more dark overall tone in general just really made the game stand out. The only thing keeping it from being higher on the list is that 1, it really is just Breath of the Wild again, but better, and 2, you lose everything at the start, and I mean like everything. It felt like a cheap way to pad out the game a bit. I feel like if any other studio did this with a sequel, they'd get a lot of flack for it, but since it's Nintendo, they get a bit of a free pass. Overall though, there's another game like this out there, and the innovation in the game's systems should definitely be applauded. Jedi Survivor, oh my gosh, this game cooks. Respawn took everything we loved about the first game and gave us more of it. More lightsaber styles, more enemies, more upgrades, more bugs and glitches. Oh my word, this game was a catastrophe at launch. Thankfully, I played it on console, which was more manageable, but man, PC gamers really got the bad end of the stick with this one. Honestly, it's just really impressive how they managed to make this game somehow buggier than the first game in this series. Just stop releasing buggy games. It hurts trust and it ruins the experience for gamers, alright? Overall though, I love the combat in this game, and I appreciate how you keep all the powers from the previous game, but build on them throughout this one. Tears of the Kingdom. By the end, you actually feel like you are progressing closer to a Jedi Master. The story was interesting and not where I expected it to go, and I really hope they continue to build on this with one more game rounding out the trilogy. And honestly, this game is a top 3 of the year for me if it works. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, okay? On to number 5.
This is an entrance, it's a door!
Dishonored. A game that definitely didn't come out in 2023, but one that I played through again this year. If you want my full thoughts on it, watch my little retrospective. In general though, some of the best stealth gameplay ever is found in this game. With unique adaptable levels and with so much replayability, the game never gets old. It was just really refreshing to boot up a game and not having to worry about a battle pass or random microtransactions. It's just a solid 10-hour single-player experience that you can honestly get upwards of 100 hours in. I recommend playing it if you haven't.
The sauce, the brand.
Just don't forget, the game is fixed.
Cyberpunk 2077. We all know the story by this point. In 2020, Cyberpunk was released in pre-early access alpha beta edition. 3 years later, the game's finally playable. Personally, I'm a huge fan of world building, and I feel that Cyberpunk definitely immerses you in this bleak future. With the setting they provide, you just feel very invested. I feel that the story perfectly encapsulates this depressing future where you're set to question the morality of society, what it means to be human, and what actual freedom looks like. The improved skill trees comboed with the cybernetic implants really help you choose how you want to approach combat, and it gives you this otherworldly feeling as you push the limits of V's body further and further. Admittedly though, the game kind of drags in parts, mostly because of so many instances of unskippable dialogue. Fix that for the sequel and make sure the game works at launch, and I think CD Projekt Red has a winner. But seriously though, stop releasing buggy games.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Fallout New Hampshire. So I'll be honest, I had never played New Vegas until this year. I've played Fallout 3 and 4, and while I really enjoyed 3, I never really understood why people loved the Fallout series so much. Well, now I think I do, because Fallout New Vegas is amazing. The game just has so much replayability to me, it's insane. Your character creation actually matters, and it influences so many decisions and interactions you'll have in the game. All the factions and characters are so memorable, and while the game is a depressing post-apocalyptic world, there's just so much charm and comedic undertones that really make the game stand out.
We don't even know what his name was. All the posters just referred to him as the King.
The gameplay's fun, if a bit dated now. Just mind-boggling to me that Fallout 4 moved away from this game in favor of a more streamlined experience to cater to the masses. That sounded way more philosophical than I wanted. Anyways, great game and great story, and really the only thing keeping it from the number 2 spot is, well, I like number 2 better. And you have to spend like an hour modding the game to get it to work. Overall though, great game. I highly recommend it. Number 2.
Got a creamy filling.
Dead Space Remake. Alright, so when it came time to buy a new game, it was either buy Resident Evil 4 Remake or Dead Space Remake. I'm sure I would put RE4 around here too if I'd played it, but I definitely don't regret my decision. I played the original Dead Space when I was 13. Please don't tell my parents. It was the most intense, engaging horror experience I had played at the time. The remake takes what was excellent from the original and makes it even better. Besides much better graphics, obviously, better gore, improved weapons, side missions, more story, more scares. Isaac actually speaks in this game.
We're 5 minutes out. You still got that thing on repeat? Guess you really miss her.
Fisherman is not a job you turn down.
It just shows how good of a remake that it is when they manage to not lose the spirit of the original and in many ways enhance it. Like, I think this is the definitive way to play Dead Space now. I highly recommend playing it if you haven't. It's one of the best survival horror games I've ever played, and it's definitely just worth your time. However, it's still not quite as good as the number 1 game of the year. Spider-Man 2 is not only the greatest game ever created, but it's also the greatest achievement in human history. This beats out the moon landings, the invention of penicillin, or the harnessing of electricity for the first time. Playing as MJ has never been better. It is probably one of the most defining experiences of my life and is a core memory that I will certainly— y'all know I'm just kidding. It's Baldur's Gate 3. Alright, so Baldur's Refrigerator, I'm gonna be honest. I had never played any of the Baldur's Gate games or the Divinity Original Sin games. I had no idea Baldur's Gate 3 was even being made. Like, I went into this game so blind. And let me also say this, I despise turn-based combat. I think it is one of the absolute worst ways to play a video game. So with that said, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the greatest games I've ever played. And I don't care about any of the people who complain that it sets an unrealistic precedent, blah, blah, blah. No. Those people can go buy Modern Warfare 2 map packs for $70. All the adults can stay over here and play Baldur's Gate 3. An exceptionally deep character creator, branching, and I mean branching, dialogue options, a complete and complex combat system that rewards experimentation, and an engaging story with so many different endings and outcomes that each time you play through, you are going to get something completely different no matter what you do. There's so many different ways to play this game that you could play through it 100 times and you'll never experience the same thing twice. This game has everything: exceptional detail, memorable characters, and above all else, it's just fun.
If it's not fun, why bother?
And not only does it just provide such a complete experience, you can play through it in 4-player co-op with friends for the entire story. How on earth do people think Spider-Man 2 is better than this game? I don't get it. Alright, what else is there to say about Baldur's Gate 3? It's stunning. It is an achievement, and I think it serves well as an argument for video games as an art form. It is that good, and it is one that many CRPGs and other games in the future will definitely be compared to for years to come. It is easily my game of the year, and it is well deserving of its Game of the Year award, which it won ahead of Spider-Man 2.
Game of the year is Baldur's Gate 3.
I recommend playing it if you haven't, and I myself am looking forward to continue playing it for years to come. Also, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.